Do you know that feeling where you have something you need to make, and instead you spend 2 hours scrolling through YouTube watching videos about how to do it? Or replying to messages that could have waited? Or just quickly checking your email? I spent years trapped in that loop. I used to call it laziness. I used to beat myself up for it. But it wasn't laziness. It was something else. And the day I figured out what it actually was, that's when something finally shifted for me. Here's what I tried first. I made a schedule, color-coded everything, set creative time every day. That didn't work. Then I downloaded a productivity app, set timers, built a whole system. Didn't work either. I watched videos about discipline, about habits, about waking up at 5 a.m. and getting things done. I watched a lot of those videos, which is kind of funny because watching videos was exactly what I was doing instead of creating. And all the advice sounded the same. Just start. Just do it. Stop overthinking. Cool, thanks. But if I could just start, I would have already done it. The problem wasn't that I didn't know I was procrastinating. The problem was I didn't understand why I was procrastinating. Here's what I eventually figured out. My brain wasn't broken. It was doing its job. When something feels too big, too vague, or too high stakes, your brain doesn't go silent. It panics, quietly. And then it does what any panicking thing does. It runs. It runs to YouTube, to your phone, to reorganize that desktop. Anything that feels manageable, anything with a clear end. Because make a video has no clear end. Make a great video has no clear end. Build a channel definitely has no clear end. But watch one more video, that ends in like 12 minutes. The brain likes that. So the trick wasn't about forcing discipline. The trick was about making the actual task feel as safe as the escape. So here's what I did, and I want to be honest, it felt stupid when I started. I stopped telling myself I was going to work on my video. Instead, I said, I'm just going to open the file. That's it. Open the file. That's the whole task. And the rule I made for myself was, if I open it and still don't want to do anything, I can close it and walk away. No guilt. The first time I tried this, I opened the file and actually started writing. Not because I suddenly felt motivated, not because some inspirational quote kicked in, but because the hardest part, the part my brain was actually afraid of, was starting. And open the file was small enough that my brain couldn't argue with it. It couldn't say, you're not ready. It couldn't say, you don't have enough time. It couldn't say, what's the point? Because opening a file takes 3 seconds. Over time, I started applying this everywhere. I'm not going to record today. I'm just going to set up the mic. I'm not going to design the whole thing. I'm just going to pick the colors. I'm not going to write the script. I'm just going to write the first line. And almost every time, once I started the small thing, the bigger thing quietly followed. Now, I'm not going to tell you this fixed everything. Some days I opened the file and genuinely closed it 5 minutes later, and that was fine. Some days the task still felt too big even after I broke it down, and some days I couldn't even bring myself to break it down, which, yes, that happens. But here's what did change. The gap between wanting to create and actually creating got smaller. Not because I became more disciplined, not because I found the perfect system, but because I stopped asking my brain to be brave and started asking it to just take one tiny, completely unthreatening step. The brain is not the enemy. It's just really, really good at avoiding things that feel uncertain. So I stopped fighting it, and I started giving it something it could actually say yes to. There's something bigger underneath all of this. Most of us don't procrastinate because we're lazy. We procrastinate because we care. If you didn't care whether the thing was good, you wouldn't hesitate. You just make it. Most of the time, procrastination is just fear in disguise. Fear of judgment, fear of wasting time, fear that you'll try and it still won't be good enough. And the more it means to you, the louder that fear gets. So the next time you catch yourself switching tabs instead of doing the thing, Try not to call yourself lazy. Try asking instead, what part of this feels unsafe right now? Because once you know what you're actually afraid of, you can make it small enough to start.
The trick wasn't a productivity hack. It wasn't a new app or a perfect morning routine. It was just this. Make the first step so small that your brain has nothing to push back against. Open the file. Write one line. Set up the mic. That's it. You're not trying to finish today. You're just trying to start. And starting, even messily, even slowly, even just barely, is the only thing that actually leads anywhere. So, what's the smallest possible version of the thing you've been putting off? Not the whole thing, just the first 3 seconds of it. Start there.